Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a question pretty much everyone in the packaging world has asked themselves. Why does this thing cost so much? We're going to peel back the layers of a typical packaging quote to show you all the hidden stuff that adds up to that final number.
Yeah, you've been there, right? You get that quote, you look at the price, and it just feels inflated. It's like a black box. You put a request in, a number comes out. But what if you could actually see inside that box? Well, that's exactly what we're about to do.
So here's the big idea, the key to unlocking all of this. That final price you see, it's not really one number. It's a whole stack of different costs, all piled on top of each other. In this explainer, we're going to build that stack together, piece by piece, so you can see exactly where every penny goes.
Okay, let's dive right in. We're starting at the bottom, the absolute foundation of our cost stack, the raw material itself. This is all about the physical stuff your packaging is made from and, crucially, how much of it you're actually getting for your money.
So how do we even start to compare apples to apples when it comes to materials? Well, that's where grammage, or GSM, comes in. You can think of it as the universal language for material weight. It doesn't matter if it's paperboard or a plastic film, GSM gives us one standard way to talk about mass per area. And that is the real starting point for any cost calculation.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Check this out. We've got two different films here, both the exact same thickness. But because that standard PET film is so much denser than the BOP film, you end up buying almost 35% more material by weight. That's a huge potential cost saving right out of the gate just by making a different choice on a spec sheet. All right, layer one is down. We've got our material. Now we have to actually make the thing. This brings us to the next layer of our stack, where all the costs from the manufacturing process itself start to pile on. It turns out not all waste is created equal, and you're paying for two totally different kinds. First, there's make-ready waste. Think of that as a fixed cost. It's the material they have to use just to get the machines dialed in for your specific job. But then you've got running waste, which is a percentage lost while the machines are actually, running your job.
And this is exactly why seeing a single generic waste allowance on a quote should be a red flag. The big takeaway here is you need to ask your suppliers to split these two figures out. When you know the fixed setup waste versus the variable running waste, you have a much, much clearer picture of the real cost. It gives you the power to properly compare suppliers.
And then you've got all the fun stuff, right? The elements that really make your packaging pop. That beautiful hot foil stamp, the cool embossed texture. Well, each of those often needs its own separate run through a machine, and that adds cost. You're also paying for custom tools, like cutting dies, and even for the risk involved when your artwork requires super tight, perfect alignment.
Okay, so our packaging is made, it's finished, it looks great. But it's not at your warehouse yet, so now we've got to add the logistics layer to our stack. All those tricky costs that come from crossing borders and dealing with international trade.
And believe me, where your packaging lands changes the final cost a lot. Just look at the US. You've got these border fees like the MPF and HMF that simply don't exist in the EU or UK. But if you're importing into Europe, you've got to deal with import VAT, which is a big tax calculated on the total value of your goods. It's a completely different playing field.
0.125%. It sounds like basically nothing, doesn't it? But that's the harbor maintenance fee, and it gets slapped on the value of every single ocean shipment that comes into the US. By itself, it's tiny, but across thousands of units, shipment after shipment, these little percentages turn into a serious and often totally overlooked cost.
We've now reached the final layer of our cost stack. And honestly, this one's the most dynamic. It's changing all the time. I'm talking about compliance. All the new costs driven by environmental taxes and regulations popping up all over the world.
And don't think for a second this is some problem for the future. Look at this timeline. This stuff is kicking in now. The UK's new EPR fees, they go live in 2025. The EU's huge new packaging regulation, it starts to apply in mid-2026. If these costs aren't in your financial plans already, you are going to get a nasty surprise.
And we are not talking about chump change here. Look at this number. In the UK, this is the tax you will pay for every single ton of plastic packaging that has less than 30% recycled content. All of a sudden, a simple design choice about sustainability isn't just a talking point for your marketing team, it's a hard number that hits your bottom line directly.
Okay, so we've built the whole stack, right? From the raw material all the way up to these new regulatory fees. But now for the most important question. What can you actually do about all this? How do you take back control? Here it is, your 5-point toolkit to take control. 1. Standardize your calculations. Get everyone using the same math. 2. Demand those waste breakdowns. Make them show you make-ready versus running waste. 3. Get your finishing costs itemized. 4. Mandate Incoterms on every single quote request so you can model fees accurately. And 5, and this is a big one, start adding line items for compliance taxes to your cost models today. Do it now before they sneak up on you.
And really, that's what this all comes down to. When you stop looking at just a price tag and you start seeing the entire cost stack, everything changes. It gives you the power to ask way smarter questions, to challenge assumptions, and to build budgets that are actually based in reality. So the final question is, now that you've seen the whole picture, is your cost model telling you the full story? Thanks for joining us for The Explainer.